All right, we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Karma. I'm sorry for being late. I'm just trying to get a couple of things together because I wanted to speak on a lot of topics here, and I'm making sure everything is on point. And I got all of my topics together. All right. What's going on, everyone? I hope everyone's having a good week so far. I want to get through a lot of topics here, a few past topics, and pretty much what's going on this week with boxing and well, a little bit of MMA as well with Clarissa Shields. Okay, so just want to go down. I'm definitely going to do more videos as far as like fight breakdowns because I do want to speak on some of these fights. We have Jaron Ennis returning and fighting Tomas Delorme. And then we have Jamal James against Rabzab Butayev, which should be a pretty good fight. And then we have Josue Vargas fighting Jose Zepeda as well. And I think a few other fights. Got Clarissa Shields doing her second MMA fight tomorrow night, actually, on ESPN2 or ESPN Plus. All right. So we're going to talk about a lot in this video here and play a little catch up. But I wanted to start off discussing Oscar Rivas against Ryan Rozicki the other night for the Bridgerweight title, the WBC Bridgerweight title. What's up, Keith? What's going on? I did watch the fight the other day. I just didn't do like a break, like a post-fight video on it, but I do wanted to discuss it. Listen, it was a pretty good fight. It was a pretty action-packed fight. You know, I don't think it was fight of the year or anything like that. I think it's just that it's one of those fights where it was a lot more competitive than we thought it would be. Okay. But it wasn't really a high-level fight. It was just a phone booth fight, you know, and it was good. It was very entertaining and everything like that. But, you know, these are not the very elite of the heavyweight division, you know, and I know this is the new Bridgerweight division as well, but this performance itself wasn't a top level. It wouldn't have been a top level cruiserweight fight, and it would have been a top level heavyweight fight. It was just a fun fight, you know. It was definitely a war, but it has a lot to do with the fact that Oscar Rivas underperformed. You know, basically seeing his performance against Brian Jennings, who he stopped late, right? Even though he was kind of getting outboxed in that fight, no surprise. We saw his performance against Jennings, thought he was a little bit more dangerous going into this fight. We saw his fight against Dillian Whyte. Most of us believe that that was a very dangerous fight for Dillian Whyte. Going into the fight, Dillian definitely clearly won the fight, but Oscar Rivas definitely had his moments as well. Rocked Dillian Whyte a couple times, even dropping him at some point in that fight. So Ryan Rozicki was a guy that really didn't know much about, you know, much smaller, a guy that wasn't a big cruiserweight, you know, and didn't fight any top level fighters. We just knew that he was undefeated and he had a high knockout percentage. And I think the most surprising thing about that fight was the fact that Rozicki just was able to take Rivas's power throughout the entire fight. It didn't matter how bloodied up he was, how injured he was. He took a lot of damage, and this guy just kept coming forward. He really didn't care. Shout out to everyone that's coming in. Josh, what's up? Jorge, what's up? Eddie Morales was good. Gary Russell, good question. Real quick, I'll answer you real quick. I really don't know what's going on with Gary Russell, you know, but I'll bring him up a little bit later in this video because I'm definitely going to talk about 126 when it comes to Oscar Valdez and the Navarrete situation. I'm going to bring up Gary Russell. All right, but look, the one thing that I like about the Bridgerweight division is that the champion basically has to fight all of his mandatories. And I actually like the fact that as long as the IBF, the WBO, and the WBA does not get involved with this division, the champion pretty much has to fight his mandatory. I'm sure he can still fight voluntaries in between, but whoever the champion is, we don't have to worry about unification. We have one champion, one undisputed champion, right? Because there's no other sanctioning bodies. And this fight was made because Brian Jennings backed out because of the vaccine situation, right? He's not a vaccinated fighter. So this fight was, Ryan Rozicki was chosen because he was ranked. I don't know how he was ranked so high, but that's not really, that's not what I really want to go into. All I know is that there's only one sanctioning body for this weight division for now. And I like the fact that the best have to fight the best. This is one of the things that I actually wish we had in boxing. I don't like the fact that we have multiple sanctioning bodies, Definitely don't think we need 4 of them. Okay, there are a lot of boxers, but having 4 and then having all of these junior titles, it clutters the divisions. We have double divisions, right? Because we have divisions in between. We have junior divisions, and then we have junior titles. So this Bridgerweight thing, I don't know if it's a real thing. I don't know if it's going to be around for a long time. But if it is, as long as there's no more sanctioning bodies, as long as the IBF, the WBO, and the WBA doesn't get involved, it should be a pretty fun division because anybody from heavyweight can always come down and make the weight. And anyone from cruiserweight can always go up and challenge whoever is the best at Bridgerweight or whoever's the champion at Bridgerweight. So if these guys from cruiser don't really want to go to the top dogs, the super heavyweights in the division, and they want to do something in between, they can go straight to Bridgerweight, which I think is cool because that'll give them a lot of options. It'll give them another title opportunity, So that's the one thing, the one key thing that I like about the division is that there's only one sanctioning body for now, and there's only one title for now. I'm sure if they stick around long enough, they'll make a silver title, they'll make a world title, they'll make some gold title, they'll do whatever that they, how it goes, the platinum title. If it's a big fight, they'll make a platinum title out of it. But I think it's cool for now. For now, we'll see where this goes. People have talked about Wilder coming down to Bridgerweight. Honestly, I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening. I don't see Wilder, who can definitely make the weight. He's a smaller 200-pounder. Even him going up to 240, he's not the biggest fighter. You know what I'm saying? He's not the biggest. He's very tall. He can always come down, but I can't see Wilder doing that. He's already competed as a heavyweight for so long. I don't really see him coming down and wanting to collect that title because at this point, it's kind of beneath him. You had, 9, 10 title defenses as a WBC heavyweight champion. You want to come down to Bridgerweight after that? I don't know. It just wouldn't. Guys on his caliber or the top heavyweights at this point, it really doesn't do much for them at this point. Especially someone that was champion and had a lot of heavyweight champion, had a lot of title defenses during that time. So I don't really and then plus I just don't think he would want to do that. I mean, you never know. You never know with these boxers, but I just can't see him doing it. I think this Bridgerweight thing is going to be more so for some of the cruiserweights that's going to come up and don't want to go straight into a fight with a Fury or a Joe Joyce or someone that's huge like that. I could see Maris Breedis doing it. I can see him doing it. I could see some of the other guys in the division and the cruiserweight division doing it. Maybe Dorticos might move up at some point. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Some of these guys really belong at cruiserweight too. Some of them make the weight pretty easily. Just gotta wait and see. All right. Shout out to everyone that's here. What's up, EP? What's up, Slide and Counter? What's good? Bruce Goes, what's up? All right, so I just wanted to address that real quick. We have a lot to talk about. Let's just breeze through some of the fights that's going on this weekend. All right, we have Josue Vargas from the Bronx. He's fighting Jose Zepeda. All right. That is going to be on the 30th this weekend, this Saturday, I believe, on ESPN Plus. And I think it's a pretty good fight. If you're not familiar with Josue, he's a young southpaw junior welterweight. He's been in the game very young as a pro. And I think he went pro maybe around 17 years old. And this is going to be his first step-up test. He hasn't fought any real notable names. He does have a loss on his record, but it's due to a disqualification in a 4-rounder. All right, so he hasn't really been defeated yet, right? No one has beaten him, but he hasn't fought any high-level fighters yet. This is going to be a step up for him, a huge step up. Jose Zepeda has fought the very best in this division, okay, over the years, and he's a tough dude. I mean, he stopped Baranchek. He had him. He knocked him out in one of the fight of the years from last year. And that was an amazing fight. Now, the good thing, and Charles Edward Cheese coming through with the 500. Thank you. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you. So Zepeda is actually coming off of his career worst performance against Hank Lundy. Now, it's not that he just performed bad. It's just that Hank at this point in his career is much older. He's in his later 30s and coming off of that fight where a lot of people thought that Hank Lundy won the fight. Okay. Not a good look for Zepeda. So this is a good chance for Josue Vargas. If Jose Zepeda is looking bad again, I think Vargas has a great chance of possibly pulling off the upset here. I don't know. I haven't checked the odds or anything like that, but it should be a pretty good fight. All right. And especially if Zepeda is on the decline. I mean, I don't want to judge him completely off one fight. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. But if he's anything like he was in his last fight, Josue should have a great chance of beating him, And Charles, thank you again, man. Thank you for the super donation. Always appreciate you. So anyway, it should be a good fight. It's going to be on ESPN. And Dillian White fight was canceled against Otto Wallin this weekend. So we have this ESPN card, no major cards, but it should be a pretty good fight. They're both southpaws. Okay. And it should be good. I think, I'm not super sure where I'm going to go with this. I think the edge should definitely still go to Jose Zepeda because his experience level is on a different level than Josue's is. Josue hasn't fought any elite fighters yet, not even close to it. But if Zepeda is slipping and he's on a decline, I think he can definitely take Zepeda and possibly outbox him. It's just that Josue is not a big puncher. All right, he boxes very well, but he's not a big puncher. And the thing is, I don't know if he has the power to fend off Zepeda for a long period of time. Zepeda's been in there with some real punchers at this point, and I just don't know. Let me just go down and Zepeda. Yeah, I just don't know if a guy like Josue Vargas, who's not a puncher, could really hold off. I mean, even against Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is a puncher, man, a puncher. And that's another fight that these guys went blow to blow. I mean, Zepeda barely lost that fight. If you've seen that fight, he barely lost that fight. You know, so if you can go like that against a recent unified champion and do that well, I'm expecting him to bring a little bit more than what Jose can bring. But again, it really depends on Zepeda. If he's on his A game, I expect him to win the fight. But if he's not, and if he's slipping, or if he's looking anything like he did in his last fight, I expect Josue to outbox him and, you know, win a close fight. You know, we'll see. All right. Yeah, Slide Encounter says that Baranchek fight could have taken something out of Zepeda. And that's what I mean. He could be on the decline. I mean, he's not old. He's in his younger 30s still. But Zepeda went into a war with Baranchek when they were both knocked down like three or four times apiece. You know, it was heavy blows landed in that fight. And maybe that's part of the reason why Zepeda didn't look good against an older, aging Hank Lundy. You know what I'm saying? So we really just got to wait and see. I actually like the matchup, though. And that's why I brought it up today. I like this matchup because I want to see what Josue can do at the very elite level at 140. This is his first chance of fighting an elite level fighter at the junior welterweight division. All right, so look, we got other fights coming up. Jamal James is going to be fighting Rozicki Butiev. All right. Butayev. I'm sorry. I always get his name wrong. Butayev is a fighter that he lost to Alexander Besputin a couple of years ago, but it was a great matchup. It's just that Besputin tested dirty, right? And they ruled the fight a no contest. So, and that was a very competitive fight. Butayev is got a crazy amateur background. He got like almost 400 amateur fights. Right. He can crack, he can pressure, he can box, he brings it off. Make sure if you are going to tune in to Boots Ennis this weekend, check out this fight that's on the undercard. This is a very good fight. Actually, I don't know which fight is the main fight. I don't know. All right. But I know that these guys are fighting on the same card, I believe, on Showtime this weekend. This should be a really good fight between Jamal James and Butayev. All right. I like the fight. I like the card. And I like this fight here. This fight, I really don't know where to go with this because Jamal, you know, very tall, long, not a puncher, though. Not a puncher. You know, got pretty good defense, a little slickness to him. And he's been in there with some good fight. He's been in there with Ugas. He lost to Ugas, but he beat Tomas Delorme, who Boots is going to be fighting this weekend. So Butayev, I don't know, man. He can punch. He can pressure, like I said. He can box really well, and he has a lot of amateur experience. And I think this should be a good clash, you know. And I think, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if this winner can get in there with a Boots Ennis in the near future. You know, you never know. Because Jaron Ennis is actually ranked very high in all sanctioning bodies. So he's in a really top contender zone already, just like Virgil Ortiz. But Boots is actually high in all four sanctioning bodies right now. All four. And I believe the Butayev fight is going to be for like the WBA world title because I think Jamal James has that title already. So I think this is a really, really important scrap. All right. And this can lead into a future mandatory fight probably sometime next year. All right. Because, you know, Dennis Ugas is already set up to fight his mandatory. They declined his unification match against Errol Spence. Hopefully, maybe they're still working on that because I definitely want that first. But he has a mandatory against Danionius, who is also a pretty good fighter. But this fight here is for the world WBA, not the super, but the world one, the one below between Jamal James and Butayev, which should be a good fight. All right, but you got to also know, and let's move to Jaron Ennis real quick. Jaron Ennis is ranked number 6 with the WBC, right? Under Danny Garcia, under Keith Thurman, under David Avanesian, Mikey. Well, probably, I don't know if Mikey's there now, but Virgil Ortiz is up there. And then you got Errol Spence, who's the champion. Then with the WBA, Jaron Ennis is number 5. Then with the IBF, he's number 3, right? All right. And then with the WBO, Ennis is number 5. So with this win against Tomas Delorme, he should be at least number 4, 3 ranked in all divisions, at least at bare minimum. At least that's my guess. All right. So be on the lookout because Ennis is coming. And one of these guys are going to be forced to fight him at some point. All right. Same with Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is already number 1 with the WBO. After he fights Porter, Virgil Ortiz Jr. is going to be probably, Crawford's mandatory real soon. So you got to be on the lookout. I actually want the two of them to fight each other, to be honest. I would love to see Ennis and Virgil Ortiz Jr. fight each other right now. But, they're both moving in the right direction, and we may get a super fight between them in the future. They can both, I personally think they're both future box champions. I just don't know if it's going to be both of them in the welterweight division. Virgil has already moved up from 140, and Ennis definitely has the size to fight at 154 right now. All right, so we just got to see what's up, Boxing Gyms. Make sure y'all subscribe to Boxing Gyms. I'm new to the channel, but he makes incredible boxing commentary type of breakdown videos. I just checked them out this week with the what was the fight we just got? We just got the Shakur Stevenson. He did an amazing, incredible breakdown for that. And he also did a good breakdown on the Canelo Plant fight. Definitely subscribe. I'm telling you, if you guys like my breakdowns, you would like his breakdowns as well. He shows video footage. Very good boxing knowledge on that channel. All right. So definitely check him out. All right. So let's move on. And listen, Jaron Ennis, I expect him to beat Tomas Delorme. Delorme has not won in his step-up fights yet. I've been watching his career for a long time because I always thought he had good hands, always thought he could box well, but he has lost all of his step-up fights up to this point. And Ennis is a guy that, he's going to destroy all of these guys they put him in front of and until he reaches the super elite of the division. Tomas Delorme, I give him a lot of credit for even getting in the ring with him. He's been fighting. He's had a really, really tough schedule. He has a lot of losses, but he's had a very, very tough schedule. All right, losing to guys like Bud Crawford, losing to guys like Jamal James. I think he's lost to Ugas as well. He's been in there with a lot of tough fighters, and he still boxes very well. The thing is, he's very quick. He boxes well, but he gasses out kind of early. And usually, even his win against Hank Lundy, if you go back and watch that fight, who he has a win over, Hank was even able to start picking up rounds late in that fight because Delorme starts off fast. He even started fast against Bud Crawford. And, he doesn't have the best gas tank. But regardless, I expect Ennis to dominate him. I think he's going to definitely stop Tomas Delorme. But I just want to watch the fight because I just want to see Boots fight at this point. I expect Raphael says I expect Boots to stop Delorme mid to late rounds, and yeah, I agree with you. I expect I'm expecting middle rounds, man. I'm expecting 6 rounds. I don't know even. Let me look up Delorme real quick, because I know he's been stopped. But I don't know how early he's been stopped. Okay, I know he's been stopped. I know he's lost on points. He lost to Stanionis recently, which in a really, really good fight. That was the first time I seen Stanionis fight. He lost him in his last fight. He's coming off of 2 losses, actually, right? And if you look at his last 5 fights, he has 3 losses, a draw, and 1 win. And the win that he has wasn't against an elite fighter, all right? He has a draw against Jesse Vargas, which was a gift to Vargas, in my opinion. I actually believe that Loreman won that fight. I remember watching that fight, and I think I went live on that fight. I think I did live commentary for that fight. Abrego did stop him. Yeah, Abrego did stop him early, long time ago. This was years back. Yeah, Abrego stopped him in the 7th round. You're right. Bud stopped him in the 6th round, but I know Bud was struggling in the first few rounds of that fight. You know, Bud has started slow, not in the recent fights, but in past fights, he was a slow starter. Not in the recent ones, though. But since then, he hasn't been stopped since Terrence Bud Crawford. And being stopped by Bud is not a bad stoppage. All right. Ugas beat him. You know, had a draw with Vargas. Jamal James beat him. And Stanionis beat him to a decision. But he hasn't been stopped at 147. And that's another thing I have to make a note of. Those 2 stoppage losses was at 140. You know, and that says a lot. That definitely says a lot, because maybe he just wasn't better at 140. Maybe he belonged at 147. I said that about Ugas. Ugas was a much better fighter at 147 than he was at 140. You know? So I like the fight with Ennis, but I think Ennis is going to show out, you know, and I think Ennis is going to definitely stop him midway through the fight. I still believe that. You know, Loreman is a good fighter, but I like Ennis for this one. You know, I think Ennis, maybe, you know, after a couple of rounds, I think he's going to really start stepping it up, and he's going to, you know, I think he's going to dominate at some point. All right. It's just that Loreman, very, very quick hands, especially early on, very quick hands. But you should be able to, you know, you get in there, you fight with him long enough, you'll be able to figure out, you know, you'll be able to figure it out, you know. All right. So let's move on. Let's what else do we have to talk about here? What's my little list at? All right, so I wanted to talk about Clarissa Shields real quick. She's gonna have her PFL fight, MMA fight tomorrow on ESPN2 and against Abigail Montez. I'm not familiar with her, but this will be Clarissa Shields' second MMA fight. I seriously hope after this fight that we're gonna leave the MMA thing alone for a little bit and need to focus on boxing, because she probably has her toughest challenge coming up against Savannah Marshall, and she needs to be completely focused on boxing, you know. And I do believe that when you mix and go back from boxing to MMA to back to boxing, I think it does affect you somewhat, because the training and the preparation is different, especially when you have been out of the ring for a long time. I personally don't believe that Clarissa Shields should go and fight Savannah Marshall on her first one back. I'm not saying that she can't beat her. What I'm saying is she needs to get back into boxing mode, not just having a training camp, but have a little bit more experience back in and be familiar with boxing again. All right. Because in MMA, when you're prepping for that, you're prepping for takedowns, you know, your takedown defense. It's not just boxing. You have to prepare for strikes. You have to prepare for takedowns. You have to be prepared for everything else other than just hands. So you're going in there with possibly your most dangerous opponent in your career. Maybe not on paper. All right. But I'm just saying, based on just the styles and everything and the skill set of this woman, you need to be fully prepared for boxing. I know she's trying to be great in all things, and I appreciate her courage, and I praise her, and I've been praising her for everything that she's tried to do. But when you're getting back in boxing, and once you're getting into the woman that a lot of people believe can beat you, this is the first one. That's not the first woman that she's faced that people think would beat her. But what I'm trying to say is this girl here is no joke. You need to be on your A game going into the ring with her. And you have to be familiar with the ring again, because prepping for MMA changes you. All right. I was watching this video. Oh, by the way, how's the video? If you guys were on here the other night, I don't know what's going on. I actually resetted my Wi-Fi this morning because I don't know what's up with the video quality in the video I did the other day. It's not normal. I normally don't have any internet issues, but for whatever reason, the video quality was extremely poor the other night, and I apologize about that. All right, but there was nothing I could do because I was going live. You know what I'm saying? So I was already good. But all right, everything is good. So anyway, I was watching this video. This was months ago, but it was this year. And I was watching this video with Conor McGregor. And it was basically showing the difference in Conor after he prepared for boxing and fought Floyd, right? This is after he was being fully involved with boxing. So he was an MMA fighter. He goes over to fight Floyd, prepares, boxes, lost to Floyd, then goes right back to MMA. And you notice the difference in his style, and it was a well put together. I wish I had saved it. It was a really well put together video that was showing clips of Conor before boxing and after boxing. And you can tell going back into the octagon that there are certain things that he just couldn't do, that he wasn't doing, because he was focused too much on striking with his hands, right? He was fighting like more of a boxer, and he was much more limited as an MMA fighter. Now, I know he was never like a guy that was able to submit guys and take them down. He was never like that guy. But as far as his striking was watered down. He was a lot more limited because he was just using his hands. He wasn't doing much with his feet. If you can find this video, guys, if you have some time, just YouTube Conor McGregor before boxing and after. I think it's updated to his most recent loss. I am telling you, when I saw this video, it made me think of Clarissa Shields. And this is before Clarissa's first MMA fight. Or maybe after. I'm not sure. But I know it was earlier this year than I watched it. It can definitely affect you because your preparation is different. All right. You're looking for a different thing. You're looking for leg kicks. You're worried about takedowns. So when you're going back to boxing, you got to be fully focused on a boxer. But sometimes certain things are muscle memory and you're thinking you're looking at the wrong things. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using logic here. All right. Maybe Clarissa goes in there and totally outboxes her. Maybe, I'm actually rooting for her. So hopefully she does win. But I think she needs to get back into boxing full time if you're going to fight your greatest challenge to date. A woman that's beaten you before. I know it was a really, really long time ago. But Savannah Marshall right now looks good. She looks good. She looks dangerous. She has power. All right. So that was the real reason why I wanted to bring her up in this video here. All right. And she is fighting tomorrow night on ESPN Plus. PFL fight. All right. I don't think she's the main fighter. I don't follow the PFL. I don't follow MMA as much anymore. I'm real casual at this point. I'm more of a hardcore old school MMA fan. But she is fighting tomorrow night. So I will probably be tuning into her fight. All right. So anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about the main thing here. Bob Arum, Shakur Stevenson, and Oscar Valdez. Now, we know Shakur won the fight against Jamel Herring the other day, right? In his best performance against his best fighter, best opponent. And now he holds a title up at 130, right? Two division champ. He beats Herring, outclasses him. I personally think he won every round. I think maybe you could give Herring one round out of there, maybe the most. But I think he won every round. I think, the stoppage wasn't that bad of a stoppage. I know some people are complaining about that, but he won. And, Oscar Valdez, who's also top rank, had his best career win earlier this year when he knocked out, what's his name? Miguel Burchell, right? Knocks him out. Knockout of the year, outboxes him and gets him knockout of the year, right? He goes on to fight Robson Conceição, who, in my opinion, outboxed him. Now, the fight was still very close because Robson did, especially those middle rounds, started to take a lot of rounds off. So I'm not quick to call it a robbery, but I am going to say that it was probably a gift for Oscar Valdez. He didn't look good in that fight. All right, and that fight was recently, but you got to understand, Conceição wasn't like Burchell, a guy that was all power, just running to shots all night long. Wasn't boxing well. He was just running straight into Valdez's punches. It was a terrible performance. He lost every round to me. And Burchell in that fight, instead of boxing, he figured, let me just be more aggressive. And when I mean more aggressive, it wasn't effective aggressive. It's just running in and getting punched in the face over and over again. Robson Conceição was boxing, all right, and moving well and timing Valdez very well. In fact, I like Oscar Valdez as a fighter. I've liked him as a fighter all of these years, But if we're going to be honest, if we remove the Burchell performance, which was a great performance, if you look at his fights at 126, all right, and you look at the few fights that he had where he didn't look so well, yes, he might have picked up wins, but let me just look him up real quick. If you look at his other fights that he's had, he turned into a straight slugger to me. I don't think he was always that way. See, now when he was fighting guys like Chris Avalos, right? When he fought Gradovich, when he fought those guys, I thought that he was a good boxer that can crack. But somewhere, maybe around the Scott Quigg fight, that's when I started seeing a change, and he started pretty much going to war with all of these fighters. I thought he was getting outboxed by Adam Lopez as well. You know what I'm saying? Adam Lopez was boxing well against him. So he had a few fights in there where he didn't look all that great. And this is the thing. Bob Arum has not been speaking about making Stevenson fight Valdez, which is strange, right? You would think, it's the only fight at 130 that people are asking for right now, especially after that performance. And it's not like this is a new fight. People wanted to see that fight at 126. Shakur Stevenson wanted that fight at 126, and you both are top ranked. Now, I like Emmanuel Navarrete. He had a good fight against Joet Gonzalez recently, and he's been doing his thing, both at 122 and 126. I like what he's doing. I told y'all the other day, I think he's actually underrated because I know his style is a little bit awkward. It's not pretty. But I think outside of his lack of defense, I think he can literally do everything. He can fight out of orthodox and southpaw. He has power. He has great angles, and he's very, very durable. But I I don't want to see him fight Oscar Valdez right now. And let me tell you something. It's not a bad fight. It's not a bad matchup. I would love to see them fight down the line when it actually should happen, when they're both in the same division. But right now, Oscar Valdez moved up to 130. And you got him and Stevenson are the top guys there right now. And they're with the same promoter. Why is their promoter, Bob Arum, talking about Valdez fighting Navarrete? Where did that come from? There's not a line of people asking for that. Whereas the Stevenson fight, we've been wanting to see that since 126. So I understand that Valdez didn't look good in his last fight, and he got outboxed, in my opinion. And I see what's going on here. I think he is being protected, you know, because he doesn't look good right now. He tested positive, and it's just not a good look for him right now. So I see why he would be protecting him, because he's still undefeated. But at the end of the day, this should be a unification match, and it should be an easy one to make. They're both top rank. What is the problem? Navarrete, these guys at 126, you know, and somebody asked me about what's up, boxing champs? We said probably a money thing. Valdez versus Navarrete means less money if you let Shakur take Valdez belt first. If Valdez wins, Shakur fight is probably bigger. I mean, I get that. On a business end, I get that. But I also say, well, what if Valdez loses to Navarrete? Then what do we do with him? He loses to a 126 pounder. Where do we go from there? You know, this is boxing at the end of the day. And what happens is when we have these fights where guys go and try to maneuver, like when you're trying to play chess too much, that's exactly when upsets occur. And that's what I'm trying to avoid at this point. You know, I'm trying to avoid another upset, another fight that should happen from happening. We seen that with Wilder and AJ. We seen that with who else we seen? I mean, Spence, look at the Spence Crawford situation. I mean, they didn't lose, but you know, Crawford got, you know, Spence got into a life or death situation with the accident, and then he recently had an eye injury, right? Which he didn't even get the Manny Pacquiao fight. So the more we just try to like move these guys, like, nah, let's have them fight Navarrete first, and then let Shakur Stevenson fight somewhat. Like, no. They both had career best wins this year. Let's make that fight now. Let's not make it later. Navarrete got work to do in his own division. You know? I didn't say I like that. Yeah. The problem with 126, and somebody asked me about Gary Russell Jr. earlier. I don't know what Gary Russell Jr. is doing. I really don't. It's wasted talent to me. I mean, he's an incredible boxer. I don't know what he's been. I don't know what's up with Gary Russell Jr. I don't know. You know, I seen him really push to fight Leo Santa Cruz. You know, I seen him call out guys like Crawford and, you know, Devin Haney, and it just wasn't going anywhere. Like, all right, you know, just because you didn't get the Leo Santa Cruz, and that's the only real believable fight that could have really actually took place. All right, Leo didn't fight you. The show don't stop though. You know, and this guy has been doing his one mandatory fight per year. But I think it's been even longer than a year now, because I don't think he's fought since the beginning of 2019, before the before COVID. So I really don't know what Gary Russell is doing. I mean, I'm assuming the next time he's going to be in the ring, he's going to be fighting his mandatory again. But this guy has put very little effort in trying to get a unification match, and he's done more talking. He's brought up a lot of fighters' names all the way up to 147. And, he has not even put in any real work, you know? Uh, I don't really know. I really don't know what's going on with that. I think that, in my opinion, if it really isn't his fault, and it's really because Al just can't get him the fights. I mean, Leo Santa Cruz was an Al Heyman fighter. If Al protected Leo from fighting Gary, then maybe Gary should have opted out of his contract and moved and left the PBC. I know, I think he was hinting on something like that maybe like a year or so ago. I seen some interviews that came up online that he was talking a little bit about some issues he had with the PPC. Maybe that was a year or two ago. But if that's the case, if you're not really getting fights and they're not giving you the fights that you want, maybe it's time for you to go. Because a lot of these fighters that he's brought up in recent years, like Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney, or even Bud Crawford, even though that wasn't a realistic fight, all of these fights are the guys that's not with the PPC, and you couldn't get fights with the guys on the PPC as well. We didn't get a unification with Carl Frampton, Leo, Warrington. We didn't get Alistair Valdez. We didn't get Shakur Stevenson. We didn't get any of those fights. So is it all of the other fighters? Is it Gary's fault? Is it the PBC's fault? Is it Al's fault? I have no idea who to blame in that situation. But what I do know, and what I get tired of with the division at 126, is that no one has done a unification in years. I think Prince Nassim was like the last fighter that unified at 126. No one unifies. Everyone picks up a title and moves up to 130. It's a pit stop. No one at 126 stays at 126. And if they do, they do not unify. None of these guys do it. So I don't know what's going on. I think by now, I don't know. It's just it's a shit division, I would like to see Navarrete fight. Let's see who's there real quick. I would love to see Navarrete fight Kid Galahad or Leo Santa Cruz if he's gonna stay at 130. I don't know if he's gonna stay at 130 or come back to 126. I would love to see him fight Gary Russell Jr. I would love to see him fight Mark Masayo. I would love to see all of these fights, but Navarrete has options. I know these guys are not all top ranked guys, but these guys, they can make the fight if they really want to make the fight. And Gary, with his talent, I think by now, at some point, they should have made some sort of unification match. I don't know who to blame there, but I can't blame it all on Al because, I mean, even before Gary fought like a Lomachenko, for example, Gary went a long period of just fighting like journeyman. He was going 20 plus fights being dominant against journeyman. People consider him to be the fastest puncher in the sport, one of them. Yet he was still fighting journeyman for a very, very long time. Once he became champion, though, he just remained defending titles against mandatory fighters. And they weren't always top level fighters. But as far as Oscar Valdez and going back, Bob is speaking it all into existence. Let's make the Navarrete fight. Well, no one was asking him for it. I mean, it's not a bad fight, but now that you keep mentioning it in several interviews and you're totally dismissing Shakur Stevenson as a potential opponent for Oscar Valdez, it makes it look like you're protecting Valdez. You don't even want Shakur to get a piece of him. You don't have much belief that Oscar, in my opinion, the way I see it, you don't even want Oscar in there with him. You know? I mean, a majority of us right now think Shakur would beat him. You know, and Oscar, I don't know if Oscar, he said, No Look Past says, when Oscar Valdez said he wanted the winner of Herring and Stevenson, he said that hoping that Herring would be the winner. I don't think Oscar wants any parts of Shakur Stevenson, man. I just don't, you know. Again, that win against Burchell was a great win. But look at Robson since Conceição and look at the way he boxed. If Robson can do that to Oscar Valdez, what do you think Shakur Stevenson is going to do? You know, and all of these other fighters that I named earlier in this video. You know, if a Jason Velez can outbox Valdez, I know he got stopped. I understand that. Right? Valdez can punch. But Stevenson's on a different level from all of these guys. Clearly, at this point. So, yes, I do believe that Bob is protecting him. Now, Stevenson said he's willing to fight Lomachenko. Now, maybe we're all jumping the gun here, and maybe Bob has other plans for Shakur Stevenson. Maybe Bob believes in Shakur Stevenson to a point that he's willing to put Shakur in there with Lomachenko right now. Maybe he's that confident that Shakur can possibly beat a Lomachenko now. And maybe that's his plan. I don't know. I mean, Lomachenko don't officially have an opponent for this year, for December. You know what I'm saying? Jamel Herring was shell-shocked. This is the thing, and I've read a few comments like this, Hawker. Jamel Herring already lost to 2 other southpaws. So when people say that he's old or he's shell-shocked or he's past it, what do you think? You're basically taking away the victory for Shakur, and you're making it seem like he's only lost to the guy because he's old. He's already lost to 2 southpaws. This is part of the reason why I picked Shakur to beat him, because he can't beat southpaws. And he's 0 for 3 against southpaws. Now, if Jamel Herring went in there in his next fight and beat another type guy, like let's just say Miguel Burchell. Now, I don't know if he can beat him, but let's just say he fights Miguel Burchell in his next fight, right? Both guys that lost this year. And he beats Miguel Burchell. Is he still shell-shocked? How do we know that he's past it? I read a few comments like that this week, and it just kind of makes me think like, no, he lost to a fighter that's better than the fighters he already lost to when he wasn't older. You know? So he switched he switched trainers. He changed up the game plan. You know, he picked up some wins. He came down in weight. But now that he lost to Shakur, it's because he's washed up? No. He lost to someone that's better than him. That's it. No Look Past. Thank you for the donation. BoxingWave is a breath of fresh air in the midst of the toxic boxing YouTube community. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't think we can't just do that. You know, I said this the other day to you guys. I'm like, you know, when we talk about Anthony Joshua, when we talk about all the different trainers that would do better for him and all the different ways that he can win the fight, I get it. You know, a lot of us, you know, a lot of people believe that Joshua was supposed to win that fight or he could have done better in the fight. But we're also taking credit away from Usyk for thoroughly outboxing him. And maybe he's just better than Joshua. As far as right now, I believe that Usyk is just better. Now, until Joshua proves that he's better, then fine. Again, this loss is not like the Andy Ruiz loss where it was an extreme upset, where I don't think Joshua was at his best, But I also recognize that Joshua made a mistake that cost him in the fight. He gave the advantage over to Ruiz without really having to. Whereas Usyk is different. Going into the fight, we knew the advantages that Usyk had over AJ. We just thought that AJ's size would even things out, and it didn't. Loma is supposed to fight Commey, but they never made it. Oh, it is confirmed. You guys are saying that it is confirmed. I didn't know if it was confirmed or not. If it is confirmed, hold on. Let me look it up real quick. If it is confirmed, then it is confirmed. All right, but Stevenson is already very confident. See, even on BoxRec, they don't have it available. They says to be announced, which I thought that it wasn't really confirmed yet. You know, I know that they were having talks of fighting each other. That's the last thing I read. I didn't know it was confirmed, but if it is confirmed, it is. But if it's not, it's not. But going back to my point, Shakur Stevenson wants to fight Lomachenko now. Now, I personally want him to fight Valdez, but if he says, if Shakur is willing to fight Lomachenko and Lomachenko is willing to take that challenge, that's different because you're stepping up to fight a greater challenge than fighting Oscar Valdez. That's different, you know, but you know, I think right now with Bob trying to force a Navarrete fight right now, I think it's for protection. I don't think Bob really believes that Oscar could beat Shakur. And I think he wants to do a little bit more with Oscar while he's still undefeated. You know, listen, the Navarrete fight, again, it's a great matchup as far as the fight would go. It probably would be a good action-packed fight. But nah, let's get unification at 130. Let's get that. Let's get that now. You know, just my opinion. Same thing with Lomachenko. Like Commey is a good fight, right? But if you tell me today that Lomachenko's not going to fight Commey, he's going to fight Stevenson, I'm going to want to see that fight more. You know, I would love to see that fight over a Richard Commey fight, and that's a good fight too. But I'm expecting Lomachenko to dominate and stop Richard Commey. It would be a good win, but I'm expecting Loma to win that fight. Stevenson, I'm a lot more intrigued on how that fight is going to go. You know? But that's if Lomachenko even wants it, because Lomachenko is chasing his rematch with Teofimo. You know, that's what he wants. I don't know how this is all going to play out at 135. Let me tell you something. 135, it's a lot of controversy. It's a lot of garbage going on in that division. So I suggest Shakur Stevenson stay down at 130 as long as you can. You know, go up to 135 with more experience, and possibly becoming undisputed. Let everything settle at 135 first before moving up. You will always get an opportunity to fight Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia. These are fights that can always happen, even Tank Davis. While you're at 130 with Top Rank, you might as well clean up. Fights are easier to make down at 130. I think Shakur Stevenson should stay at 130 because there's challenges there, and you don't have to deal with none of the nonsense at 135. All of these guys at 135 are not even fighting each other right now. The majority are not. All right, so before getting caught up in that mess up there, stay at 130. There are fights to be made there. You can fight, you know, possibly fight Oscar Valdez, which should be happening. You can possibly fight a Tim Farmer, you know, or whoever, a Chris Colbert. You know, those are all good fights. There's a lot of guys at 130. So before you go up and be stuck on a bench somewhere because you got guys that's going to be like, well, I got more followers than you, or, you know, I got, whatever. I don't know. Whatever they're saying, tickets. I got more tickets. You don't sell enough tickets. Before going up there and dealing with all that, stay at 130 and do what you're doing. If I was his manager, that's what I would tell him to do. That's what I would advise him to do. That's just my opinion. Just going down. I wouldn't mind seeing. I know Jamel Herring beat Lamont Roach, but if you're just trying to get a stay busy fight, Lamont Roach would be a great fight. It would be a challenger fight. He gave Jamel a tough fight. You have Chris Colbert. I know they're friends. I doubt they really face each other unless they have to. But I'm expecting Chris Colbert to try to go after the Roger Gutierrez WBA title. The IBF is vacant. So I think Shakur should go after that vacant title. Go after it. I think the champion should be able to get first dibs on these vacant titles like Lomachenko did, right? So go after this vacant title. If Oscar Valdez chooses to fight Shakur Stevenson, why can't they make that a unified fight for the WBC and the WBO and include the IBF in that? That's a possibility. Can they do that? I don't know. Or are they going to have some sort of a title, maybe, I don't know, maybe the number 1, 2 ranked guys fight each other for the title, but whatever. But there's work that could be done at 130. Is Leo Santa Cruz sticking around at 130? If he's going to return at 130, if he is, he could be a potential opponent as well. So there's people there, There's plenty of people still around. So before you go up to 135 and deal with the divas up there, stay at 130, pick up a few good wins, possibly unify, if not, becoming undisputed, and then move on from there. That's the way I see it with Shakur Stevenson. If he can't get the Valdez fight and they just go with Valdez fighting Navarrete, which would be a clear duck in my opinion. I still think he should stay at 130. If he really wants to fight Loma and Loma really wants to fight him as well, then make the Loma fight. That's the one fight. See, that's the one fight. And I know I was just saying all these guys are 135. That's the one fight that's not going to always be around. Because Loma's older than all of these other guys. That's why I was a little upset when, Devin Haney said what he said. I think that the fighters at 135 should still want to face him. All of them. I'm including Tank in that. I'm including Ryan Garcia. I'm including, whoever. They should all still want to fight Lomachenko. Just because he lost to TL doesn't mean that he's just like he's done. That's my opinion. All right, but if there's an opportunity there to fight Loma, definitely take it, especially if Valdez backs out and fights Navarrete. Because that's what Bob seems to want right now, which sucks. All right. Shakur could become the 5th queen at lightweight. I mean, or he could go up there and want to fight everybody and none of them want to fight him. We can't jump the gun and say it's going to be his fault if a fight's going to happen. Shakur has not shown any display of being a diva. He just called out Lomachenko, which honestly no one is doing outside of what Teofimo Lopez was doing it for years. So the fact that he's actually calling out Lomachenko says a lot. So he's not going to be the 5th queen, Too many antics at 135. Yeah. That's why I said just wait. All right, so I think I covered everything today. I do want to record a few videos for the fights this weekend, though. So be on the lookout for that. I might just do like quick prediction videos for Ennis this weekend. Ennis, you got Jamal James, you got Josue Vargas. I might do little prediction videos for those 3 fights. You got Clarissa Shields tomorrow in her 2nd MMA fight. Dillian White is canceled. All right. And then that's it. Not a major boxing week, not major, but we got a few good fights. And I believe next weekend will be the Canelo Plant fight. All right. So which I got to do a breakdown for that. All right. I'm looking forward to that. All right. So anyway, that's a quick video for today. I'll see you guys on the next one, man. If I'm not back on here tonight, you will see me tomorrow with some more content. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already. Smash that like button on your way out, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.